Hey. Morning.
This meeting is being recorded. So I pulled up some Flipgrids from my own students, like a math problem that they did, so that way I could share today with the team so they could see kind of what are the groups, so they could see what it looks like. If that is something that you want to do.
Say that again. Hold on. I didn't have my volume up. Go ahead.
I pulled up some Flipgrids from my students, like so that way I could share. It actually has them solving a math problem and showing, because I was reading the comments yesterday, and people actually did want us to show them, but they didn't say anything. So okay. If you want, I could do that. If not, it's fine too. Whatever.
Yeah, but that's fine with me. This group is going to be much smaller, so we'll have a lot. I think we'll have more time to kind of dig into stuff. So
I think so
at least
too.
that's my hope. So
the group I was in yesterday afternoon had 100 people.
Oh my goodness!
But everyone loved your shared reading lesson. They thought it was amazing.
The shared reading lesson?
Yeah.
Or the math lesson?
No, I was in an ELA session. You created, it was your voice.
Oh, that's right. I did do that. Forget.
I was like,
so focused on math. I'm like,
voice.
wait, I did do the shared reading. Yes. Like shared reading. Oh yeah.
Everyone loved it. They thought it was great.
That's good. I'm glad.
I'm in a different room and I don't like the light. Okay. Okay. All right.
Again, I have everything pinned, so in case.
I do too. I have all the links and everything like that. So
okay.
It's for the chat. I have everything open too, all the Flipgrid links, everything. So it'll be hopefully quick and fast. Okay. We were finding some yesterday afternoon. It was kind of a tough session. We were trying to, people were like, this audio button doesn't work, or this, I was like, what audio? So I was trying to like troubleshoot for like what wasn't working during the meeting, which,
oh no.
But I can't imagine having 100 people on a session. They did amazing.
That was a lot. Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot of people. Hi, come here, Sarah. It hasn't started yet. Don't worry, it hasn't started. Good morning. How are you? Good. Good. Did you sleep well? I mixed up some pancakes for Nani to make when you're hungry. Okay. Okay. My preteen, she's starting to get up a little bit later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a little, and you have a bigger. Is that?
Yeah, I have three. I have I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 4-year-old.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it keeps me busy.
Yeah, I know. Mine just turned 10, and I'm like, I miss my baby.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but then if you have a baby and they're so far apart, like nobody wants to play with Dashiell. It's so sad.
Yeah, that is a hard thing. Are they at least good though with her, in that they'll
Zoe's very good with Dashiell, yeah. It's just my 9-year-old not so much.
Oh,
because
yeah.
he wants him to be like he wants him to be older. And it's like, when is he going to get older? It's like, well, as he goes.
Yeah. It's just
good morning.
Good morning. Let's see.
I don't have anyone else joining yet, so I'm just waiting. Gosh, Monica Alcaraz yesterday, she's like trying to check off 100 people. I'm like, oh, Monica. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
It's okay. We were just chatting. I'm going to go see if I can get a different light, because this light is driving me crazy.
Okay.
Hi, baby. How are you? No, I'm going to see if I can get a different, that light in there makes me look like a ghost. A ghost.
Good morning, everyone, as you're coming in. I appreciate you being here. We're gonna start in about 10 minutes or so. If you guys wanna grab, your coffee or water or whatever, and then maybe something to write with and something to write on, that would be awesome. We'll get started a little bit.
Okay, let me check.
I went ahead and let in,
It's totally fine. No problem.
And then I made you the host too. I forgot to do that.
I'm the host.
Morning. I'm gonna go ahead and share just so people know they're in the right place.
Yeah, and I can put that link in the, let me see. That's the slideshow that I just put in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the slideshow will be, the link that April just put is for our slideshow, but this is going to be recorded. So if you want to go back and look at the presentation, you can. It will be available to you. And if you're just coming in, go ahead and grab something to write with and something to write on, and your coffee or your water or whatever you need. And we'll get started in about 5 minutes.
Maria, do you have a different name that you go by on the attendance sheet?
A fly coming.
Wave it away.
I know.
You're like, I'm a crazy person.
There's a fly in my house.
It's a quieter morning.
Yeah, it was, like I said, there's
It was
gonna
crazy
be
yesterday, yeah.
like half. Yeah, it's good though. I like a smaller group. You have lots of good discussion. even though yesterday we had great discussions. So
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, so good morning to those that just joined us. If this meeting is being recorded, there is a Go link for our presentation slides. If you want to look at them, or if, you know, by chance something happens, you know, in the Zoom world and we get knocked off, you have it there for reference, but this is going to be recorded, so you'll be able to go back and look at this presentation later on. If you want to grab your coffee or water or whatever makes you comfortable, and then something to write with and something to write on, that you might want to jot down questions, or you might want to jot down thoughts, or you might use it to actually engage in some of the learning that we're doing today, that would be awesome. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes. I'm waiting on some people here. So we'll see how many people we have in a couple minutes and see where we can go from there. All right, it looks like we're almost there. We've got just a few people that need to come in. This is going to be a much smaller group than we had yesterday, so hopefully we get some more intimate conversations. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so I can see your faces. And if you wouldn't mind turning on your video just when we're in our not share mode, that would be awesome, just so we can see all each of our faces and be able to talk to each other. That's a request from me, and you are all already doing it. You're putting your mute on, which I really appreciate. It would be helpful though if we could all see each other's faces as well. If I could just get a real quick picture of the room. Yesterday I had a lot of people, and so I knew a lot of those teachers were very experienced, and so I didn't know as many of you on the list, and so I just want to make sure who I'm talking to. If you are a new teacher in this room, could you maybe give me a signal, like a thumbs up, or any kind of reaction if you're a new teacher? Or are we all pretty much been here, done that in this group? Pretty much been there, done that kind of group?
Oh,
good. Are we having a couple of new? Okay. All right.
It's technology, sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's going to be something hopefully we can address today. I just want to make sure I'm not, I'm trying to get the lay of the group here so I know, what kind of things are you guys have already known and not. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my screen share. Let's see here. I can do this. There we go. All right.
A couple more people popping in.
Okay, good. And those of you that are just coming in, like I said, this meeting is being recorded. The Go link to our presentation is on the bottom. So if you want to use that for reference, or if something happens to where you get, knocked off the Zoom internet world, that, you have that. But it is being recorded. You can go back and watch the presentation if you need to. And like I said, I really appreciate everyone's respect in muting their microphones for the time being. And then if you wouldn't mind showing your video, just so we can all see faces when we're talking, it would be awesome. Thank you very much for being here this morning. I appreciate you coming here on a Monday virtually and learning about our math. Hopefully you're going to see lots of good content in math today. And I'm going to actually show you a model lesson that was created for first grade. As it was said in the meeting, there is 4 weeks of content that has already been planned for you virtually. So hopefully you're going to get a lot of good engagement strategies for math, and you're going to have a guide of where to start in all this virtual learning that we're being asked to do. You are in the first grade math PD, just so you all know you're in the right place. My name is Melinda Huft. I am an intervention specialist at Pioneer Drive Elementary. I've been in intervention for the last couple of years, but before that I was a classroom teacher for 15 years, I believe, and mostly in first and second grade. So my background is definitely in this area. I have a lot of experience in that. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my co-host today, April, who's amazing. She's going to be doing a lot of the behind the scenes, letting people in, doing the chat, manning the chat and things like that. So April, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is April Reginden. I teach at Fletcher Elementary and first grade, and I've taught first grade forever. I see some of my Garza colleagues on here. I taught there before that, and I run our kitchen and garden. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Okay, and we also have Natalie on our presentation. Natalie is going to be with me next week, but we wanted to add her to the presentation. So let's go ahead and look at our agenda really quick. Today we're going to be focusing first on our norms, our core priorities, our learning intention and success criteria, what we're going to be learning today. We're going to be talking about the math behaviors, which we've gone over in previous summer institutes if you've ever been to them. We're going to be looking at the key essential standards, which is a huge part of where we're going to start in this learning, virtual learning. We're also going to look at the lesson design, the purpose, and and actually a lesson model, where you're actually going to get to see one of the lessons that I created for first grade. And we'll go through the process and hopefully get some really good ideas from that. And then finally, we're going to look at the virtual learning website. April's going to take you through that. That is the entire site of where everything is going to be located that you need for this virtual learning. Some of you might have already attended the tech training, and so if you've been to that's going to be helpful for you, but you're actually going to get to see and explore a little bit more of where the lessons are for first grade, where you can find the math and things like that. Let's go ahead and just get some housekeeping things out of the way before we start. These are our virtual PD norms. And so, of course, you're already doing it, very respectful. You mute your microphones as we're all talking so we can all hear each other when we're sharing. Use the chat if you have, like I said, a question or a comment, or if you're having trouble with something, a link is not working. April's going to be manning the chat, and so she'll bring something to my attention if there's something going on or if something's not working. Or if you just thought of a question and it's pertinent to the conversation, I'll try to address it. I can't see the chat when I'm in the share screen, so if you, so that's the reason why April's kind of helping me out with that. And then just to be patient with us, you know, we're still in this learning mode together. This is the second virtual presentation I've done. So we're learning. Yesterday we learned a lot, and hopefully today it runs, you know, just as smooth as it did yesterday. It was pretty good. Grab a notebook or a blank piece of paper, something to write with if you can, just because we might be jotting down some things, or you might think of questions, or you might want to write, you know, a thought or something, you know, you want to remember, or a link that you want to remember, or we might actually be doing and engaging some of the lesson today. So you might want to write down some ideas that you get from the lesson. And I'm just going to ask you to be positive and have a positive frame of mind. We're all in this together. You know, we're here to support you. And, you know, it's a difficult situation. I have a quote here that really resonates with me, and I hope it resonates with you. And it's life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. And I think that really resonates with me because we are all in a storm right now. We know this is a difficult situation. It's not where we really wanted to be. This is not how we thought things were going to go. So we're definitely in the storm. But rather than just waiting for it to pass and just trying to get through it, you know, and rush through it, it's, you know, maybe taking that growth mindset of let's learn how to dance in the rain. Let's try to take what we can and, you know, get as much engagement and as much learning as we can out of our students in the storm. And, you know, so I kind of think sometimes, like, when we get out of this, I think, you know, we might even find some really good strategies that we can use for a long time. You know, I think that this is kind of teaching us, you know, it's a forced teaching of us that we're learning how to do some new things, and it might not be bad in the end. So just keep that in mind as we're learning today. Okay, Mr. Lukey has a video message that I'm going to go ahead and share with you. Hopefully everybody can hear it.
Good morning and welcome to Summer Virtual Institute. I appreciate and thank all of you for joining us this week and willing to learn with us as we lean into a new year of learning with our students. This is not the instructional program that we had hoped to accomplish this year in terms of our students starting the year in a virtual format, but I believe that together we will build a strong instructional program to support the students of our district. So I want to speak a little bit about the importance of this week's learning with respect to our instructional program and emphasize a couple of key points for us before we start today. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize the importance of understanding what the state is requiring of school districts this year, and that there are a set number of instructional minutes that we must adhere to. It is our goal that through the virtual nature of our instructional program over the first quarter, that we can rise above and beyond those minimum minutes, ensuring that our students receive ample in-person to the best of our ability instruction, meaning synchronous learning, where we are zooming in with our students online, supporting them, teaching them, equipping them with the skills to be successful in this virtual format. And then we are also balancing that with what we call asynchronous time, where we are assigning kids to complete assignments through many of our instructional tools and resources, while we as teachers and educators work in small groups with students who simply need more time with intervention. And so you are going to receive a lot of information from our instructional services support team. You are going to receive a lot of tools and resources to support you with the instructional design of our program for this year. Just know that we're in this together. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other, and let's work together to make the very best and strongest instructional program for our students. So once again, thank you very much. I look forward to learning with you this week, and I look forward to a successful school year. Thank you.
Okay, so he kind of just reiterated that message that, you know, we're going to be positive and we're going to get through this together and hopefully get a lot of good ideas on how to do that with the synchronous and asynchronous learning. And you're going to hear those two terms a lot this week because you're blending that learning style and that engagement with it within. So let's go ahead and go over our Bcsd core priorities. For the culture of collective efficacy, this is the belief that the ability of our staff at each school to positively affect student achievement. So this is done by we as a teacher team understanding and knowing what the expectations are and what the direction is that we're going to move and be on the same page in that. And so that will positively affect our students when we know what we're expected to do. The culture of teaching and learning is really what we're going to be focusing on today, because we're going to be focusing on the actual learning, the teaching and the learning, the content, and in this case, it's math, and which are critical for our college and career readiness. So we're going to be looking at model lessons and planning and standards, where that's where we're going to get the bulk of our teaching and learning. We also have a culture of student-centered schools, which is the power of relationships, the power of building that management techniques and development of the whole child. So, you know, we're really centering on these students right now. We're really centering on how are we going to get them to be able to engage in their learning, and how are we going to make it possible for them using and ingraining the, you know, social emotional learning along with the academic content. Also, we have a culture of access and inclusion to ensure a multi-tiered system of support for all learners. So this is where we're meeting all of their academic, behavioral, and social emotional needs of all students. And what Mr. Lukey was talking about with the asynchronous and synchronous learning is kind of a blend of what we're going to be asked to do for all of those, to meet all of those needs in the students. You know, we're going to have to do a blend. We're going to have to meet in breakout rooms or small groups with certain students. We already know this. You know, it's you know, not going to be always, you know, teaching in a whole group setting or a live setting. We're going to have to break it up. We're going to have to do, you know, blended learning for that. So keep those core priorities in mind. These all have a little bit of part of what we're going to be talking about today. There are some things that I'm not going to address today, and it's not, of course, because we don't care about these things. We all have questions about all of these issues, but we are only going to focus on the content today. We're going to focus on the math content, the math lessons, and giving you a guide as to how you can start creating lessons and using lessons for your classroom. So I'm not going to address the assessment calendar, the school schedules, any information or opinions regarding this return to school safety procedures, the teacher prep or contact time, any IT or Wi-Fi issues, you know, that pertain to later when we start school. Obviously, if you're having some issues right now, that's, you know, we'll try to help you fix that. And any kind of grading policies. So none of that is going to be in the presentation. I'm sure we all have questions. I have questions about these things, but there is going to be a digital parking lot, which I'll show you in a minute. And that's where you can relay all those questions, because as you're thinking, you're going to come up with, well, how do I, or what about? And those are perfectly valid questions, and we all have them. But just for this presentation, we're not going to be addressing those. So there is a place that you can put your questions, which is right here. April is going to put the link to the parking lot in the chat. I'm hoping that the link works. It looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and click it just so you guys see what it looks like. You're basically going to just type in your question here, and then it will go to the district and they will compile a list of all these questions, and hopefully they will be able to answer some of these questions at some point. So that is where you can put those questions if you have them, okay? And again, let me know, or April know, if you're having trouble accessing the parking lot as you're thinking of these questions. You can also use, you can also ask some questions in the chat, but I prefer that if there are the topics that we're not discussing, put those on the parking lot, and questions that you're thinking about for this presentation, you can go ahead and put those in the chat. So it's up to you, but just so you know the direction we're kind of going today. So this is our learning intention for today. We are going to understand the lesson design, the actual lesson design, the components of the lessons, and the purpose for mathematics. That includes a balanced approach in utilizing our math behaviors. So we are focusing on math today, math learning, and math lesson planning. The success criteria: we will know we are successful when we can navigate and deliver rich mathematical instruction. that will promote mathematical learning, belief, and behaviors while students can engage in mathematics, regardless of the environment or setting. And so the big word that the big word is engage. I really want you to think about how to engage these students, especially for first graders. We know that this is going to be a really tough go around for these first graders. It's already been tough. We know that just from the spring. But what I'm hoping is that you can get some really good ideas in how to start engaging and using some different strategies in the lesson design for the students, and get some ideas of how you're going to actually deliver the instruction. And that is our goal. We still want to deliver rich instruction no matter where we are, you know, if we're in the classroom or if we're on a virtual setting, and that's the goal. So keep that in mind today as we're learning that word engage or engagement. Okay, so we're going to introduce ourselves with a quick activity. You know, we like to use these activities to show you because, you know, I think it helps really if you do these activities, you know, so you can actually use these activities with your students if you like. I think that's important. So we like to model some of these new strategies. This is called Jamboard. I've actually never used Jamboard before. Up until a few days ago, I didn't even know it existed. So it's a smart display digital whiteboard that students can work on independently or shared with a class for a group activity. And activities are saved to your Google Drive and they can be easily uploaded into Google Classroom. April created a really cute Jamboard. There was a little hiccup yesterday of too many people using it at one time. So April, I'm gonna go ahead and let you take that over.
Okay, so I put the link in the chat so you guys will be able to link from there if you're not using our slideshow. I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, I think you have to get, that's fine.
I'm sorry, I guess I have
No,
to
it's fine, it's fine. Where did mine? Oh, maybe I'm gonna see if this will, why it's not showing me. I wonder because, oh, sorry guys. I'm gonna see if I could just do this. Can you see what I see? Do you see the Jamboard?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I'm always sharing this and it's not sharing properly. So, okay, so this is what the Jamboard looks like. It's really just a blank canvas for you to interact with your students. What you can do is on this left side, you have options to draw or write. You have options to cut and paste, and you have options for sticky notes. Today, we're going to use the sticky note. So you just click on that sticky note, and then you can tell us who you are and where you're from. You can pick your color. This is a great way to teach digital literacy. Like, don't take up a huge amount. You can use your Bitmoji if you have a Bitmoji extension. It's a Chrome extension you have to download. So you probably, if you don't have it yet, may not want to do that. But if you do have it, it's up here in your top left hand. And whenever you get the extension, you'll be able to see, yeah, very good. So you're just going to click on that and you can add your own Bitmoji. These are mine. So it's a fun way to add a little bit of cartoons to your Jamboard. Anyway, also if you run out of space on this first screen, it has more frames. So you can click up at the top and click over. I only made 2 frames for this one because I think that'll be enough. So we're just going to give you a few minutes to play with it. And yeah, you can move things around. See, I can move Courtney's around. So just go ahead and we'll give you 2 minutes to add your post-it and be creative. And if you have questions, you can put them in the chat or just speak up. And I'm gonna stop my share so that way you can share your screen back.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
It was fun to see all the different creative ones that people made yesterday, and we shared that with CNI. It was fun.
Yeah.
Also, during our ELA yesterday, they talked about using Jamboard for phonics, for creating letter tiles and having the kids move the letter tiles around. So Jamboard is really something that you can use for a lot of different things. It's just a great blank canvas. So yesterday we had that problem when we had too many people kind of looking at it. Maybe in a second it will pop back up.
Yeah, yeah. I think think it's like 16. So we have like
Oh,
20.
did you look it up to see? 16 is
I
not
think
very much.
Nicole said that. I think Nicole said it was like 16 at a time. So,
But once you get done, it's super cute.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I was thinking, for this, you know, it would be awesome to, and, you know, for our littles, they can, you know, maybe do like, because you could do maybe some like manipulatives, right? On
Oh
the,
yeah, definitely.
that's what I
You
was
could
thinking.
do like you could like put some word problems on there, or not word problems, but just rote problems, 5
Yeah.
plus 2, and put some counters, and they can move them. And you can say, hey, Denise, can you move these 3 over? And then she'll be able to, you know, whoever the student is will be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you could just, I mean, a whiteboard is a whiteboard. So, I mean, I think it's awesome that, you know, they have that kind of, so it's just something to think about, you know, when you're thinking about engagement, you know, how am I going to get, how do I, you know, what if they don't have a piece of paper or something to write with? How am I going to get them to show what they know? And this is a tool that we can use if they don't have those materials. So, you know, these are really just things that you can think about using and practicing with and playing around with. April, do you see?
I was going to say, when you use the Jamboard, make sure you don't just Google Jamboard. Go to jamboard.google.com, and then you'll be able to create your Jamboard. Yeah, I can work on that while she's talking, maybe creating like a little Jamboard with counters, and then she can come back to me later, and then we can show it to you.
Oh, cool. Okay. Was that in the chat?
That was a question in the chat.
Okay.
Sorry. You're like,
No,
I can't see it. She said, can you model how to use counters on the Jamboard?
Oh,
so I'll work
awesome.
on that while you're talking, because
Okay,
I know what you're going to say.
So have most people kind of done a little bit on the Jamboard? Do you think?
I think we're ready.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish.
Yeah.
Continue on.
Cute.
All right. So the math behaviors we're going to get into today. I know if you have been around with us for a while and you have gone to some of the other summer institutes, I know that the math behaviors are something that you've been exposed to. If you're new to teaching, then you might not have. So basically, really quick, an overview of these student math behaviors. These are what the students are, these are the behaviors that we are expecting our students to show when they're engaged in certain types of math. So we really want, last year, and this is the same message this year, last year our message was we want our students to think, act, and behave like mathematicians. And this is the same. The message has not changed. We want our students to be thinking and acting and behaving like mathematicians. And we really want to make sure that when we're setting up our learning intention and our success criteria, that we're also thinking of the math behaviors that the students are going to be engaged in when they're doing their lessons or when you're teaching. So for the mathematical practices, there are 8 of them. The mathematical practices are here on the left. For example, MP1 is to make sense of problems and persevere in solving them. So that's one of the really big ones, especially in first grade. We use this a lot. So the behaviors are listed here in the white. So the understands the meaning of the problem, collaborates, communicates, explains the meaning of the problem, asks clarifying questions when they don't understand, finds a different path when the first way doesn't work. So these are what the students will be doing as they're trying to engage in problem solving. Okay, and then of course you have others, the reason abstractly and quantitatively, and then you have the viable arguments and model with mathematics. And then there's another 5 through 8, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So here's what I'd like you to do. I just want you to look over these. You're going to kind of just skim them, review them for like a minute. And then what I want you thinking about is how you can promote or draw out these math behaviors in the classroom, and maybe thinking of it from a virtual place, because, you know, in the classroom, I think we have a lot of good ideas on you know, how we can encourage these behaviors, but it might be different when we're thinking about it from a virtual standpoint. And some of you might have already been using these and connecting these math behaviors in the spring, you know, before summer. So, or even in virtual summer school. I know some people were doing summer school as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and make it bigger so you can see it. So I'm going to have, there's 2 parts to it, 1 through 4 and 5 through 8. So I'm going to give you a minute to explore 1 through 4, and then I'll change the screen and you can review 5 through 8. So go ahead and just skim those, jot something down, think about what kind of behaviors you could promote from this. Okay, now the rest of them are 5 through 8, and I'm sorry I have to switch the slide, but it's too big to fit on one page. So hopefully you kind of just skim through these a little bit, the 1 through 4, and then I'm going to go ahead and put up 5 through 8, and I'm going to give you another minute to again just peruse on the math practices and then the behaviors, and kind of again just think about how would we promote these behaviors in a virtual world. You're going to have a discussion, so. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second and see you guys, so I can see everybody. We're gonna actually have a discussion. I'm gonna have you actually get into a breakout room, and again, you're gonna actually discuss basically what you were just reviewing with the math behaviors with your group. And then if you could just have one reporter kind of share in our discussion after we get back, you're gonna maybe meet for like 5 minutes and just talk about the different ways that we can promote those math behaviors. You know, how are we gonna get the kids to, you know, construct viable arguments? How are we going to get them to, you know, talk about their math? How are we going to get them to model with mathematics? What are we, you know, just things that you might be thinking about and thought about as you were reading those math behaviors and reviewing them, and then have one person kind of share out with the group. So I'm going to have April hopefully be able to put you in breakout rooms. Hopefully this works, if you're able to. This must be our group. Is this? Oh. There we go. Yay.
Hey guys,
Hi, Nicole.
back at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hard. You guys are doing great. I love the Jamboard. So fun.
It's cute. Yeah.
I love it.
Over the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
I do know somebody in here. My friend, she goes to Point Loma with me.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that Rachel said that there's 50 people that can be on an editor at one time in any Google. So I'm
Okay.
figuring Jamboard's the same because she was saying for Google Docs. But
Okay.
it worked pretty well today. It seemed like everyone could pretty much do
It was
on.
it was a lot smoother than yesterday. Yeah. I think we just had so many people yesterday. It was just kind of like, and it was our first time using it.
Yeah, and we had some principals and vice principals attending as well. So that took our numbers well above 50.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, there were several administrators in there. So but it worked. It all worked well. And your guys' evaluations and feedback were amazing. So everybody really appreciates
Yeah,
what
I
you
looked
guys
at
are
them
doing.
yesterday. They were pretty good. Did you get that folder I sent you, Nicole?
Yes, Alicia already has it on the website.
Yay.
And
Okay.
April, you're muted.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've been talking.
I didn't know you were trying to talk.
No, it's because I'm trying to do two things at once. I was
I
trying
know.
to get
I'm
these
sorry.
counters on this Jamboard, so I'm like,
Okay.
so I can show them, but
Yeah,
it's
April,
hard
yesterday I made a tutorial. I put a folder and
to. I
made.
saw that.
Oh, you did see that.
I
Okay.
just saw it right now when I was up on when I was
Okay.
looking. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I don't know if the we'll have to let the previous teachers know somehow, but the ones yesterday, because they were the ones that requested it, but today I can go ahead and talk about that. Or I'm gonna
That's
pop
awesome.
into a
But
breakout.
you do have the list. So if you wanted to send them
Yeah.
email and just let them know where it is on the website, you totally
Okay.
could. But most of them will find it because it's going to be on the website, and I know a lot of teachers are going to be on the websites.
Okay, I'm gonna pop in here and
yeah,
see what they're.
Okay, I'm
awesome.
gonna work
All right.
on this for a
Great,
minute.
guys. All right, thank you.
Just pop back when you want me to turn them off. Okay, I created the Jamboard with the counters, and then I also have a link for the counters. So whenever you want to do that, just let me know. And whenever you're ready for them to come back, just let me know.
Yeah, you can have them come back, and then I'll go ahead and let them know that. That way, because it's the same into our discussion, same thing.
Yeah, because I can show them how to use the tools really quick. It was a little bit of a learning curve, but I figured it out. Okay.
Yeah,
I think with less people, it'll go a lot faster today as well.
Yeah, so you can add some stuff like that in April, and you can have time to do that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't want to step. You're such a good presenter. I don't want to interrupt you.
No. Yeah, like Nicole was saying, we're gonna have a little bit more time today. So. All right, welcome back, everybody. I know people are starting to come back from the rooms, hopefully. Remember, we're gonna have like just one person maybe share something that your group discussed. And then April actually found out a way she got the counters for the math and the Jamboard, so she's gonna actually show you that in a little bit. Yay, worked. All right, welcome back, everybody. So if you could just have maybe one person share, if you can. Yesterday it worked really well that we had a hand raise. There's not as many people today, but if you could do like a hand raise if you're the speaker, and just kind of share maybe just one or two things that your group discussed about the math behaviors and how you promoted it. Go ahead and share. And then April has, she did the Jamboard for those that were asking about the counters and wanted to see that. She's gonna go ahead and share and show you how to do that. So anyone would be willing to share? Any brave person? Hand up. We're quiet today. Brave person. Yes, Trisha.
We just, our group, they brought up using number talks. They probably do some number talks, and then just, researching some more virtual materials and getting more familiar with the Jamboard and the manipulatives that we could use from there. So that's kind of what our group had discussed.
Awesome. So that came up a lot in the previous group as well, where they were really asking a lot about the virtual manipulatives and how we're going to use the tools and modeling. I love that you called out number talks, because there are going to be number talks that were added into the lessons. And so I think that's important that we still keep those number talks and that number sense involved in the lessons. So that's going to be something hopefully that you guys will get out of that. Was there anything else? I heard a lot of good discussion. I popped into a room and they were having a great discussion of some of the connections they could make. Any more reporters? Yes, Courtney. You're muted.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I am muted. I am muted.
Add on what Trisha said about the virtual rooms, and I was mentioning to my group that there's like those Bitmoji Facebook pages, and some people have already made like a virtual manipulative pages, and it's like already kind of created, and it could be like number tiles, base 10 blocks, coins, just number lines. So yeah, I think that would go with number 4, is just being able to show different models or different ways. And yeah, and then also in my group they talked about the estimation 180. So
okay.
I love that.
I love that too. Yeah. And I love that you guys are making those connections to the math behaviors, you know, and the math practices. And well, this is how we're going to maybe get these behaviors in. And that's really the point, you know, is how are we going to get those math behaviors and what are we going to use and what are we going to do to promote those behaviors? Did anyone else have any thoughts, or was there anything in the chat about the discussion of the math behaviors and anything? That was it? Okay.
Nothing in the chat.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Teaching with Neons is a great Facebook group, and it's totally free. Like she said, if you want to get one of the Bitmoji rooms that are already created, you just use that search tile at the top to, like, there's a little magnifying glass and put math manipulatives or math room, and then it will come up.
I'll warn you though, if you start doing it, you'll get hooked, because I was doing it for like hours, just putting things together. So I haven't
started for that reason. I'm like, oh.
It's fun. It's fun and creative, but yeah, it takes up some time. So, but yeah, there's a lot of good resources out there for teachers like that, what really are interested in those Bitmoji classrooms or really setting up their area in one space. So there's a lot of good resources for that.
You just use those like as a slide. So it's just like a slide that goes into your Google Classroom or your slide presentation.
Well, thank you guys so much for participating. Yes, Courtney, go ahead.
I was just going to say what Diana, I think in my room, someone in my room said that they use their virtual classroom as behind them in their Zoom. That's so cool. So then you're actually in your virtual classroom. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I still haven't mastered the virtual background yet. So on Zoom, but yeah, I mean, I've seen some amazing things. Like one of my colleagues, she has like the whole Disney castle and behind her. I'm like, oh, you see. All right. So, so thank you so much for participating in the discussion. I'm going to let April,
I'll show this really quick.
She's going to show you really quick on that Jamboard.
Okay, let's see. I'm also made, let me see if I go here. Okay, so this is the Jamboard I made, and I'll link it in the chat in a second. And so I just copied and pasted some teddy bears. The text is not gonna be cute. So it's not gonna be like where you can put a text box in and make it adorable. You have to use the pin function to write, which is, I think, okay for the kids to see something that's not perfect, because when they're writing on the whiteboard, it's not gonna look perfect. Unless you have a pen and an iPad, then it's gonna look a little bit better if you have the iPad and the pen. And then I'm gonna share the teddy bear count, a Google Drive that has tally charts, teddy bear counters. It has everything that you need to create any of these things. So once you copy, you go here to image, and then I went to my drive because that's where mine lives, and I went to my math manipulatives. And I'm going to share this with you guys so that way you have all of them. And then we'll open up the clip art. I wanted to use teddy bears, so I went over here to counting bears. And then I just picked a couple of them and I copied them. So I just pressed copy, or you just double click it and we'll go in here. And then these three dots at the top, you're just going to press the duplicate button. And it's easier if you make it the size you want and then hit duplicate. And then I wouldn't put the amount of bears that you have here. And then you can easily just erase this and then repopulate a different question for them to answer. And of course, you can make your bears the same size. I was in a rush. So it's really that easy to just kind of copy, paste, and then create, and you have something live to play with.
That is so awesome.
So I'll just put it, both of them, I'm going to link just the simple edition Jamboard, and then the math. I think the math manipulatives are going to be the thing that's going to help you guys the most.
Yeah.
I can't see the chat, so I don't know if anyone had questions.
I didn't.
Okay, perfect. All right, then there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go back and go ahead and continue on with our presentation. Let me share my screen really quick. Thank you so much, April. That was awesome. Okay. Oh, hold on a minute. I always do that. Okay. So after talking about the math behaviors and kind of where we're going to get those ideas to promote that the math learning and the math behaviors from the content, We also want to make sure that we're eliciting and using evidence of student thinking. And so that comes with us knowing what we're going to be doing and what the students are going to be doing. Finding evidence of student learning is very important, especially now. We need to know what they know. We need to know how they're thinking and what they're doing with the math and where they're going, and then how we're going to use that information to plan. So teachers are identifying what counts. We're making those mathematics learning goals. We're setting up those goals. We're eliciting evidence for student learning. You can do this in many ways through check for understandings, whiteboards, getting the students to talk, interpreting what they're thinking, assessing whether they're reasoning with the math. Are they really making sense of what they're doing? Making those in the moment decisions. And I can see us making a lot of these in the moment decisions, especially in the virtual world, because we're coming into a new territory here. So it's really going to be a lot of scaffolding, a lot of prompting. You know, how did you get that? How do you know that? You know, setting up something and then allowing them to kind of explore. And then you want to reflect on their evidence, you know, using those either CFAs that your team is planning or the check for understanding some way. You're wanting that evidence to see where you're going to take your instruction next. And that's where your PLCs are going to come in and help and say, you know, how are we doing? What is the assessment of their math learning so far? And then where are we going to take it? Where are we going to go? And then the students, obviously, they're the ones that are doing the work. They're the ones engaging in those math behaviors. So they're the ones revealing their mathematical understanding to you. They're the ones through either written work or class discussions or their modeling. They're the ones telling you what they know. And they're also reflecting on their mistakes, their misconceptions to improve their mathematical understanding. So, oh, that one I didn't get, you know, that problem didn't turn out right, you know, and they got a different answer than me. And so what am I going to do to kind of, you know, fix or, you know, try something new to do to, you know, try to get that answer. They're going to be asking questions or responding to their peers or to you. When you're asking them questions and how did you think about that? Well, could you do something different? And they're going to be responding to that. And they're also going to be assessing and monitoring their own math progress. So they know that, you know, well, I'm not really confident with my math facts, or I'm not really sure, you know, the different ways to make 5. So those are things that I really want, you know, to improve on. And so I'm going to, you know, work on my number talks and my number sense. And I'm going to, you know, really work on my you know, my math fact fluency and things like that. So those are what the evidence of learning that we're going to be seeing. What are the students doing? What evidence are we getting from them? And then what are we doing? And where's the evidence in that as well? So keep that in mind as we go on to our key essential standards. These have been written for you or typed out in one document. So the math units have not changed. They're still there. They're linked onto the key essential standards document. They have the framework has been linked on to the key essential standards document. If you have been to the ELA training for first grade already, then you know that you've probably seen these key essential standards for ELA. If not, I'm going to show you where the math essential standards are. They're on the same document. You just scroll all the way down. So what these include are the distribution of the standards for the year, the scope, sequence, and pacing. And I want to say that remember that the scope, sequence, and pacing are a guide, okay? The deconstructed standards, they include the framework notes, the explanation, and the expectations for what is expected for like unit 1, what is expected for, you know, the end of the year. And then it includes the strategies, the prerequisite skills that students will need to be able to tackle that concept. And it also integrated the previous year standards that might or may not have been taught fully in the spring from kindergarten. So we are well aware that we know these students from kinder may have you know, lost some learning or may not have been exposed to as much of the learning as they would have in person. So there are review lessons that have been done for you. That way, you know, we have those integrated in there, so that way the students have some exposure to that before moving on to the actual first grade standards. And then there's also highlights of the major versus the additional or the supporting standards. The supporting standards are going to be in the blue font. just so you know. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the essential standards so you can see them. At first, what will come up is the ELA standards. So this is kind of like, everybody's like, well, this isn't the right one. It is, just you have to scroll all the way down. So these are ELA. And then on one document, the key essential standards for math are all here. For me as a teacher, if I had my PLC, this is what I would bring or have with me in my virtual PLC meetings. This is what we would all have a copy of, because this is going to be what you're going to use to really pace, scope, and plan from. These are the key essential standards. They are all expected, just like they were in person, if we were teaching in person. Their standards have not been left out. We're not, condensing the standards. These are standards that are key and essential. However, we've put them in a format that they might be easier to access and plan from. So we're keeping all that in mind. So you can access the Bcsd units from here. You can click it and it'll take you to the Bcsd units that have not changed for math. The math framework has not changed. That's linked right there. So on this side, on the left side, you're going to see the pacing or the time frame. So for example, August, 2 weeks, you would spend on these two standards. Now remember, I have created the first 4 weeks of math for you. So the first 2 weeks and the second 2 weeks have already, been covered. But again, that doesn't mean that your kids, your students are not going to need more instruction in these standards. So if we say, okay, you got 2 weeks, that doesn't mean you have to have these done in 2 weeks. We understand that the expectation is for them to be able to, for example, in NBT1, the expectation is for them to count from 1 to 100. Well, you're not going to do that in 2 weeks. You're going to start at a certain point, and then you're going to grow from there. Okay, so keep that in mind. Your team, your students, you're going to decide what is best for them and what the learning is going to be. This is a guide so that you have this to plan from and backwards map from. So if I was looking at the standards and you and your team are like, hey, we're going to tackle our NBT1, what are we going to do and how many days are we going to need it for this? We're going to backwards map. What are we going to do in these certain amount of days? And then go from there and plan. Okay. On the middle, of course, you have your actual standards, and you can see that they actually have the strategies down here. So this is what all these will include: vertical number charts, read and say the number, write the number, group the tens and ones, place value cards, using objects, words, and symbols. So that is an overarching standard. So you really just want, again, you're going to use this, plan out what you're going to be doing, and what time frame you think you're going to be doing it, and then go from there. Okay, so this is what I would use to plan from, and this is what I used to plan from for the 4 weeks that I created. So, I'm practicing what I preach. And then on the right, you have the prerequisite skills to consider. So we know that kindergartners counting one-to-one correspondence, recognizing and writing numbers, that's something that they're going to need to know before they're going to be able to do numbers 1 through 100. So we know those are the things you need to consider, where they're coming from. The reviewing, adding, and subtracting, the standards that may not have been covered. Sorry, hold on one second. The standards that have not been covered, the KOA1 and KOA2, they were included in the 4 weeks of lesson plans that I did, because reviewing, adding, and subtracting might not have been taught fully at the end of kinder because of the closure. And so I did add those to the lessons, so that way the students, when they're adding in for 1 through 10 in the first grade standard, then they have some exposure and review of the kindergarten standards. Okay, and again, you're going to use that. You're going to say, okay, my students still are not understanding how to add 1 + 1 and 2 + 2. They're not getting that kinder standard. So I might need to go back and scaffold for them, or I might just have one group that's struggling, and I'm going to take them into a breakout room, and I'm going to, work with them a little bit to get them to where they need to be. I'm going to give you an example of let me scroll down here. So as you can see, we go down to the OA standards, October, November. It gives you the entire year, December. They're all here. Here's an example of the blue font standards. This is the supporting standard. So MD4, that doesn't mean it's not important if it's in blue. It just means this is something that can be supported within the other standards. There's lots of ways that you can organize, represent, and interpret data in all the other content. You can do that when you're solving word problems, or you can do that when you're counting, putting up a graph and counting, how many are in each group and things like that. So it's not that it's not important, it's that it can be supported with other standards. So keep that in mind as you're planning as well. Okay. So this document is going to be really, really important for you all when you're planning. Okay, so I'm going to actually go into what does the actual first grade lesson plan look like. Now, this again is something that, that I created, and you're going to see this for the first 4 weeks. There's going to be a lesson, an actual lesson on Google Slides, and there's going to be a lesson plan that goes with every single day. I planned for 4 weeks. So in 4 weeks, you have 5 lessons already created for you. The date will be on the top, and they are daily lessons. That's how I like to plan. I like to plan for the scope of the week, and then I break it down by the day. So my daily lessons are the Google Slide lessons that you'll see. You'll see one of them today. And then they have the lesson focus. They're going to add the technology. As you can see, I have links here. You're going to have the standards, the math behaviors that connect to that standard, the learning intention, the success criteria, the materials that you're going to need, and either questions or sentence frames that would be used in that lesson. I'm going to go ahead and click it and make it bigger so you can see it. This is an example of week 3, day 1. So today you're actually going to get to see week 3, day 1's lesson. So as you can see, there's the standards on the top, there's the learning intention and the mathematical behaviors. So as you're working with your teams, you're going to be kind of using this you could use this as a framework, and you don't have to use this exact document, but this is just a model for you to show you what you could do as you're working with your team and as you're planning for that for the virtual setting. So the students will learn how to add to within 10. That is going to be our learning intention for this week. It's all about adding within 10 and solving problems. So their success criteria is that they can explain what adding is, and they're either going to be able to act out or model their own addition story problem in some way. Okay, so down below we have the materials and the resources. I linked everything, any video, any song, any screencastify lesson I did, I linked Flipgrid here because the students, I do have them using Flipgrid in the lessons. Anything here that needs to be linked is linked. So if you're like, oh wait, where did Melinda get that video? It's right here in the lesson. Okay, and I would consider doing this when you are planning. That way you have things all in one place. And then we have here either the questions that you're going to be asking or the prompting, or the sentence frames that the students can use when they're talking. So they're going to be using, I see, they're going to be acting or modeling a problem, and then or join them. Now there are, and they're also going to be talking about addition and what addition is. Okay. And then at the bottom, we have what they're actually going to be doing in the lesson. They're going to be explaining what addition is, making their own acted out problem, practicing with an actual problem on the Google Slides, which I'll show you in a minute. And they're going to be showing and explaining how they solve the problem using Flipgrid. Okay, and then of course a lesson closure or some kind of check for understanding is a Flipgrid response. Now, if you don't feel comfortable using Flipgrid and you would rather your students use something else, that is perfectly okay. This is again just a model of something that you could do. Or if you'd rather use, something else, like you'd rather have them do a Google form, or you'd rather have them do just a quick check for understanding with their whiteboards and show them to you. Perfectly acceptable. It's your comfort level, but I think it would be awesome if the students really did get to learn at least one part of technology really, really well. Somebody said it in the other group yesterday, I think really well. It was quality, not quantity. So let's not throw a bunch of tools at them and just ask them to use it. These are first graders. Let's get them on one piece of technology that they can use really, really well and practice with a lot, get really good at it. And then as they get that exposure, we can add maybe some more. That was kind of my thought when I was thinking about Flipgrid. And then any kind of suggestions, like when I was planning these, I was like, what do I think teachers might want to do? So that you might want to consider brainstorming, you know, with your students. You might want to brainstorm, what's addition? Let's talk about what addition is. You might want to do a live lesson. Like Mr. Lukey was saying, you're going to have to add synchronous learning where you're doing live with the students, and asynchronous learning where the students are kind of a mixture on group or on their own or with you in small group. So you're going to consider which lessons you want to do live and how you want to start them and what parts you're going to do with them. There's also, you know, consider using your rec and recs. You know, if we have those digital tools, which I'll show you in a second. And you can use those rec and recs, you know, actually online. So the students don't actually have to have a rec and rec on their own. And then there's a manipulative zip drive link, which these have already been loaded onto the district website. So you don't actually have to look for those. Okay, so that's kind of a glimpse of how I set up the actual lesson plan and what's going to be included in that lesson plan. And again, this is a model for you guys and just to help you and show you what can be done in those lessons. This is basically everything that I want you guys to look for. I'm going to show you an actual lesson that I created, and I want you looking for these things as I go through the lesson, and you're going to kind of engage in the lesson with me. Okay, so look for the presentation that's been done, look for the target or the standard, the learning intention or success criteria. And I did not call these out in the actual lesson. They're on the lesson plan, but as the teacher, you know, we always say, well, you know, what good is it if we write them down if we're not addressing them? So the students should be able to know what they are to be doing that day, because you're the teacher and you're going to set up that expectation. You're going to set up that learning intention with how you decide to teach. And then they're going to know what they're supposed to be doing at the end, because again, you're going to be setting that up, that purpose up for them. Using the skills that they should be able to do, the sentence frames that are used in the lesson, the introduction. Every lesson that I made has some kind of introduction, some kind of warm up. The actual lesson, think about as I'm going through, oh, you know what I could do? Or, you know, this would be a great way, or, you know, I wonder if, just what are you noticing and what are you wondering as I'm going through the lesson for your own classroom. And then a closing, you know, what's the opportunity for them to close in the lesson, and then the resources that are being used in the lesson. So go ahead and just kind of, as I'm walking you through that, think about what it is that you can use as engagement for yourself, and how was engagement used in the lesson that was created. This is my thinking for the first 4 weeks of the lesson plan. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. I just wanted to give you guys something where you can think of, where you could see what I was really thinking when I was planning, how Nicole and I kind of backwards mapped and thought about where we would go in the first 4 weeks. So we have our counting in the beginning, we have our measurement, our MD standards in week 2, and then week 3 and week 4 is going to be all addition strategies and solving problems within 10. So that's kind of just our scope for the weeks, and just so you know kind of where the direction was. The lesson I'm going to show you today is third week, week 3, day 1. This is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and put it in present mode if I can. And so here's the title page. All of them have the same title page. And then there's the number talk. So again, when you're deciding whether you're going to do these live or not, I would prefer, if it was my classroom, I would prefer to do these live, because I think even though the students are able to do this on their own or talk to, you know, someone or a stuffed toy at home, we don't know the situation. And so I think it would be best if we kind of kept it like we did in our classroom and kind of use this as a beginning number sense talk. So number talk here. So if I could just go ahead and get someone to share, how many dots do you see? Shout it out. How many dots do you see? Shout it out for me. I can't see, so I don't.
I see 6 dots.
Oh, okay. Thank you, April. So then you would ask your students, how do you see them? So April saw 6 dots. How did you see them, April?
I see 5 as a group, like a dice, and then I see 1 on the right side.
Oh, I like your thinking. I like how you thought of these as a dice. I didn't see that before. So these 5 dots are a dice, and then you added 1 more, and you got 6. All right. So this is. Go ahead. Oh, okay. I thought someone said.
I was just saying, yes,
So,
that's what I saw. I was pretending to be a first grader.
yeah. So this is exactly what we would be doing in the classroom. You would be asking the students, okay, so how many dots did you see and how did you see them? Now, in the virtual world, you know, it might be possible that if you're not wanting to do that with the students, like I said, I think it would be best live. But if they had to do it on their own, I added an audio sound bite for every single slide that asks them to do something. Because let's face it, our first graders are not going to be able to read all these directions, especially if they're on their own. So I added a sound bite, and it sounds like this.
How many dots do you see? And how do you see them? Tell someone or a stuffed toy.
So, you know, you can tell them, okay, grab your stuffed toy and tell them how many dots you see. And then, oh, how did you see those dots? How did you know that was, you know, 6? What was your thinking? So you're going to just be eliciting that same number sense talk while doing that virtually. I added 2 of these, I think, to every lesson, 2 number talks. And then we get into the video. For those of you that don't know Jack Hartman, a lot of us do, some of us don't. He has a lot of good content, both for ELA and math. In this lesson, it's an introduction to adding, basically. So I thought about the content of the lesson. And so, okay, if we're introducing addition, I want to use a video or something to get them up and moving and engaging for them to be able to also connect with the concept. So this is an addition action song, and it'll tell them, you know, you'll say, okay, boys and girls, get up and move. Let's get through the introduction here. Ah, sorry. Sorry about that. Hold on.
Let's do addition.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. This didn't happen yesterday.
You get a song. Let's do addition. Move and have fun. 1 jet plane is flying in the sky. 2 more jet planes come flying by its side. How many jet planes are flying in the sky? 1 + 2 = 3.
Okay, so you kind of get the idea. It's just introducing them, getting them up and moving, getting them to sing the song, getting that, you know, addition, what is it, what are we doing, getting that movement involved. And then for every, after every warm-up slide, now I didn't do this for every single day, but for the last couple of weeks, I did add this slide, and this is a mindfulness break. So after those kids are up and they're running around and they're doing their song, they can have a deep breath mindfulness break and take a deep breath and then focus themselves. So I tried to think of things like that as I was going through these lessons, because, you know, I really thought about if they're going to be at home, they're not going to, you know, we don't want these little first graders sitting down for an hour doing math. It's just not going to work. So we have to find some way to get them up, get them down, get them, you know, thinking, get them focused. And so that was really my thinking when I went through these lessons. Every lesson or every lesson day has some kind of video, either a lesson video that I did from myself, or a screencast of my video, or something I found online. Now, to be honest, you know, some things are better than others. You really have to pick and choose. If things don't work for you, or if you think, well, I think that's kind of dry, I can do that on my own, or I would rather introduce this concept on my own or do this a different way, by all means, that's what I want you thinking about. For this, that's just a Khan Academy video. It's a quick, like 2 to 3 minute video on addition, okay? And so after watching the video, they're going to actually they can tell it, they can write it, or show it what is addition, you know? And if you want to take this video out and say, do a circle map of boys and girls, let's talk about addition. What do you think addition is? And then you could, have that conversation with them. You can use this in many different ways. Sometimes the Khan Academy videos are a little bit too dry for first graders. They're not my favorite, but some things are really good. Just depends what you can find. So when I couldn't find something that I liked, I did it myself. So for the next one, this is the actual lesson of what they're going to be doing today. So the numberless word problem lesson about how to act out a story problem. And so my actual lesson, I'll go ahead and show you a little bit of it. I'm not going to show you the whole
Hello,
thing.
mathematicians. I hope you're doing awesome today. I'm going to show you how to do a numberless word problem today. Numberless word problems are really helpful when we're trying to solve a problem because it helps us understand what is actually happening in the problem to be able to solve it. And that's what good mathematicians do. They don't just take.
Okay, so I set up what I want them to be doing, and then I go through an actual lesson problem with them. We do it together. I kind of do like the awkward pause, like, what do you think? Pause the video. What do you think? How many, birds you think you're going to, so I kind of set it up that way in that lesson format, but with the concept. So in this part, they're going to be adding or modeling a story. And then after that, they're going to be thinking about a problem or acting out a story with their stuffed toy. And they can use these sentence frames to actually talk about that. And there is, like I said, every slide has an audio button that they can listen to the directions and know what to do. And again, you can use this to your own discretion. Maybe you would rather have them watch the lesson video and then you as the teacher can set up a problem and have them show you or act out on the whiteboards. It's really going to be up to you how you're going to utilize these slides. Then this is going to be either what you could choose to be a guided or independent practice, or maybe you have students working on this task while you're working with a small group in a breakout room. It's really up to you. I would not personally put students in a breakout room by themselves, not first graders. They need somebody there with them. So, you can think about that. So this is where they would basically be dragging and dropping. So they're kind of modeling or, acting out this problem. So there were 4 cookies on the plate. Jan put 2 more cookies on the plate. And now there are cookies on the plate. So they would take the cookies and they would drag and drop them onto the plate. And then they would type the number here. And so for every part where they have to type something, there should be a text box there that's activated so they can type in the number. And if you didn't want them to type the number, you wanted them to use another tool, you could certainly do that as well. The last part of the lesson, like I said, is going to be something where they do Flipgrid. Now, you will have to create the actual Flipgrid yourself. And if you're not comfortable with that, you can, you can get some tech help with using Flipgrid, or you can decide to use something else to show their problem. But this is something that I thought would be, like I said, a tool that they can use, that they can really get some exposure to. So it tells them what to do. They're going to solve a problem. They're going to solve this problem right here, but they're going to show you how they did it on Flipgrid. And when they click on this problem, if they don't have the tools, and I don't know what they're going to get at home, they have these virtual manipulatives already linked for them, so they can actually use these if they wanted to. So it's really, like I said, it's really up to you on how you want to show at the end, but this is going to be their lesson closure or their check for understanding of what they're going to be doing. Okay, so that is an example of a lesson model. Now, yesterday, a lot of teachers were asking me, well, how did you go about how did you add the audio files in there? And how did you put the videos in there? And how did you get that? How did you make that slide? So I actually added a 5-part tutorial on one lesson that I created. And I basically just tell how I added things into the slides, like actually how I created the slides and my thinking on that. And I believe Nicole said that those were already, that I put them on a folder, I think. And so
I saw them. They're on the site. So when I walk them through, I can show them where it's at.
Excellent. So those will be on the site if you're having questions of like, well, how did you get that on that slide? And I don't, how would you add that? How would you embed that? So there is a tutorial for those of you that are kind of new to the technology and new to trying to make these and create these lessons. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop share at this point and just kind of like, April, anything in the chat that I need to address? Any thoughts or?
No, they wanted to see the lesson and you already went over it. There were a couple of digital parking lot questions.
Okay.
But everyone thinks the lesson looks great and they're excited about the tutorial.
Okay. All right, great. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share screen again. So hopefully you guys got some good ideas and some good modeling out of that. Sorry, go back here. Okay. So now in knowing all these things and doing the, and seeing the lesson, this is your question of the day. What are some ways that you can engage students during these lessons? I hope your brains are full of like, oh, I could do this, or oh, I can make it like this, or oh, this is a good idea, or I could do this. That's kind of what I'm hoping your brains are doing right now. So April is going to put our Flipgrid link here in the chat. I'm going to click the link just so you know what it's going to look like. And then April's going to put the link in the chat. And you guys can actually make your own Flipgrid, which would be fun for you guys to be able to engage in, to see what the students would be able to engage in as well.
You want to make sure that you turn your video off when you're recording your Flipgrid video, so that way the Flipgrid can use the video. Because if you're using the video for Zoom, you can't use the video for Flipgrid. So I'll put that there, and then I also have, after we're done, I have an example of like a student using Flipgrid and what it will look like. So I'll share my screen after we get done with that.
I'm gonna mute mine too. Just.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you click here, it will take you to what you see, and then you're gonna press the. Here, maybe I'll share. Can I share my screen, Melinda? Is that okay? Okay. I'm gonna share. Okay, so when you click on your link, this is what you're gonna see as a teacher when you're as a teacher for Flipgrid. But when you log in with Google, it's gonna ask you for your name, for your Google name if you haven't used Flipgrid before. And then you're gonna click this big green button. But like I said, you wanna make sure that you turn off your video first, and then you're gonna tell us what, how you're gonna use engagement, how these lessons kind of encourage student engagement, and then you will be able to look at it after you're done. So we'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then we'll come back. Yeah, is that okay, Melinda? Yeah, okay. So yeah, remember to turn your video off. 5 minutes, so 5 minutes. There we go. I'm going to put that chat back up in case anybody's having any trouble with the link or needs a little help. And like I said, in a few minutes, we will come back and then I'll show you some student examples. So as soon as, we see Laura's finished her video. As soon as your students start sharing videos, they start populating within Flipgrid so you can see them and check. You can also reply to others about their video, and that's something that I do in math a lot. I have the students reply, oh, I like how, they have a sentence frame. I like how you solve this problem using this strategy. Or, oh, I don't think your answer is correct. Maybe try and recheck. So as the year goes on, you can give them those prompts as well to self-correct others. It's just a great way to get a lot of collaboration going. I use Flipgrid a lot in my classroom, even when we are in the room together. So see if I click on Laura's. So that's awesome. Thanks, Laura, for replying for us. And then you can reply. I'm not going to do it because it'll turn my video off. But if I hit reply, then it would populate and it will go right back to her. So it's saying, hey, I can't see you now. So that was awesome. So I'll just give you just a few. When I see your videos start to turn back on, that's when I'll go and I'll share what my students were doing. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Someone said, you know, like my sound does not work. So if your sound does not work on your computer, obviously it's going to be hard for you, but at least you can take a look at what others are doing. And just, you know, play around with what the actual Flipgrid was, because yesterday we didn't get a lot of time to explore and people were like, what is Flipgrid and how do you use it? And students can have a lot of fun with the pictures, and they will go a little crazy with all the selfies like Miss D did, and it's super fun. They really enjoy the act of the stickers at the end. It's a great way to create community and just have a lot of fun. I did notice that toward the end, like I wasn't getting as many like Flipgrids from students just because they kind of tire out easily. So hopefully we'll be able to continue encouraging them to get on and share. I think they're ready to start learning again though, because my summer Flipgrid has started to, like, kids have been hopping back on and sharing because they're eager to start learning again. Super fun. Okay, I'm gonna go to, isn't it fun? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to a student example. So while you guys are still filming yours, you can see how I, let's see. Okay, so when you get your replies back, this is what the screen looks like, your educator screen. I was looking at, the kids will see the screen you saw. So this is the educator screen. You can also say someone made a video that you don't love. You can click on actions and you can either hide the response or you can even delete it. If you delete it, it will go away forever. So just to know that. Also, you can share this with parents. That's a great way to get buy-in because parents love to see their kids. They love to see their kids talking and showing how amazing they are. So I will share it out on Class Dojo. Say, oh, we got this great, you know, look at these great responses for Flipgrid. I'm going to show you Evie. She is awesome.
Yeah, April, I think you have to turn on your sound.
You can't hear it?
I think you have to do, it'll say like share computer sound. Go to the view options.
Okay.
I think.
View options where? On
the
screen?
Oh, maybe you don't have that.
More. Oh, maybe. Pause recording. No. Share computer sound. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Again, we're trying. Let's try again. And
Okay,
mom's a
Evie, so what was the
teacher.
number sentence you came up with?
40 minus equals 15.
And how did you know to use subtraction?
It said unloaded.
Unloaded, that kind of means like they're taking it away, huh? Okay, so what was your strategy to figure out the part?
I counted the dots on the number line so I can figure out.
Good. And how many dots did you count?
25.
25. So how many boxes were unloaded at the first stop?
25.
25 boxes. Woo-hoo! You got it, sister.
So you're going to see videos like that, but you also might see ones that are more like this, because Evie's mom's a teacher.
Hi, Mrs. Riggin, and I noticed my dad helped me today, and my dad always, when we read it, my dad thinks 25 is the answer, and then I wrote a sentence. 25 is no problem. Just check. Thumbs up if you think it's the right answer. Thumbs down if you think it's don't.
So you can see that they've had that practice.
Think with you. And make sure I always do that.
So you can see we've practiced with the responding. Like, do you think it's right? Maybe it's right. Maybe it's not right. And this was during our closure. So this was on March 29th. It was like right after we closed. So they do enjoy doing it. It's a great way to elicit student engagement. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop share. Unless, am I going straight to do you want me to show?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think next is just our district website. Oh, really quick, I just wanna make sure that in the presentation, after the Flipgrid slide, because Alicia had put in the tutorial on how teachers and students can use the Flipgrid. So there's an actual video, a tutorial on there that you can watch. I didn't show it because April did such a good job of explaining it, but when this is being recorded, or you can go back and look at the slide presentation, it's there. So.
And then also, when you are getting ready to share your, you just click the share button and it will give you a code. And it also has a Google Classroom where you can go, if I click this, it will go automatically to my Google Classroom, and I can choose my class. I can say, well, I want to create an assignment or ask a question, and it will automatically do that for me. I don't have to repopulate or do, I don't have to really do anything extra, which I like, but I'm not going to do that.
April, there was a question, I think you just answered this. For students who are able to interact with the lessons, would you just put them in your Google Classroom, or is that about?
Oh yeah, I would. That's definitely what I do, is I just put it right into the Google Classroom. This would be a great independent, like check for I think it's great for check for understanding. I mean, you are going to get students like Caitlin Macy whose parents are going to help them. Caitlin Macy she was the second student you saw. She's so bright. I know that she probably worked through that. So here it will give you, you can title it, Flipgrid, and give them instructions, answer the question and reply to one student. I'm going to be really short here.
I think hold on. I think you need to, because we're only seeing the little square.
Oh, you don't see the Google Classroom square?
I
wonder why. Let me see.
We're just looking at the.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay. Let me try this. Do you see that? Do you see it now, Melinda?
Now
okay, I don't know why it does that. Okay, so all I did was click the Google Classroom button, and then it goes to choose assignment. And then once you're done, there's a green assign button, you press assign. And then it's in your class. So now my little first grader is going to be like, why are you assigning me something new? But I can go back and delete it later. Okay, I'm going to take, Melinda, can you make sure that when I go to this page,
Yes.
It's actually, all
And
right. And can you link it? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, link what?
Make sure you link the go.bcsd into the chat so that way they'll have access to that, because I don't have access.
Our presentation? Okay.
No, not our presentation, but our the website.
Oh, okay.
Am I
is it?
going, go, I can hop out, go.bcsd.com
Yeah. Yeah. I just forget the letter.
DFP.
Okay.
Okay, do you see the math screen, Melinda?
Yes, now you do. And somebody asked, where are the tutorials? We're going to show you where to find them right now. April's going to go through and share with you. This is the district website that we're going to be exploring. And like I said, some of you might have already explored this if you had the tech training, but now we're going to go into where the lesson content is and where you can find all the stuff.
So this is the Edtech Center. This is the homepage that you're going to see when you go to that short link, go.bcsd.com. Do you see the Edtech Center, Melinda? I'm just rechecking.
Yeah, you're there.
Okay. Okay, just let me know if you're not seeing.
Hold on, I put the wrong letter in the chat.
Yeah,
sorry. Hold on.
It's my fault. It's my job.
No.
So on the left, you're going to see there's lots of tutorials for you and for the kids. So if you're trying to learn, you're going to click this EdTech Guides and Tutorials button. If you want a video tutorial for the children, you're going to go to How-To Tutorials for the kids. I'm not going to walk you through that today just because we don't have time for all of that, but I am going to show you where the lessons live. So if you click on grade level lessons, you're going to go to first grade. And then since we're talking about math, we're going to go ahead and go to math. But I want to show you right here, there's a first grade sample of a Google Classroom if you're not familiar with that. So you can go here and it will show you what a sample Google Classroom looks like. And there's a code here for that. Also, the essential standards that Melinda was going over earlier that I linked in the chat live here, and our unit plans also. It's just one quick spot for everything, which I enjoy. So you're going to click math, and here are the virtual tools. These are different than the virtual tools I put in the chat. These are tools that you will pop up on your screen and you can use them kind of live. Then down here, you also have your McGraw-Hill tools that you can use with the curriculum. So that's where you're going to find those virtual tools. If you want to copy and paste and make a slide like Melinda's tutorial, then you're going to want to use the ones I put in the chat. And I saw your video earlier and now I don't see it unless, oh, math tutorials. This right here, if you click this, if you're unsure of how to create a slide presentation, it will take you here and it will show you exactly how to copy and paste, how to do an audio, anything that you're unsure of. These are great for that. We went to week 3, lesson 1. Day 1. Yeah, day 1. Here is where you're going to get the slides. Here, this underline section is where you want, if you want the lesson. Now, if it were me, I would just go up to this Google Drive folder button and you're going to get everything. So then you don't have to worry about, but if you don't want everything and you just want one day, then you're going to click on this button here. So this is the presentation and then you're going to make a copy. So you're going to make sure that you make a copy of this presentation. It's not showing me because I think of where I'm at. Oh, here we go. Here's the presentation. Add presentation to Google Classroom. So it will force copy, so that way you're not ever changing Melinda's presentation. I have a little one that's found his way in, and it will make a copy for you. And then you can change it.
Then you can change it.
You can change it and share it. Yesterday I didn't have any kids at home. Today they finally found me. So you can, if you want to add a slide or you want to add something else, you'll be able to create it and make it your own. All right, and I'm gonna, any questions about the math webpage?
Is there anything else you want to, if you want to see anything else on this? Are you interested in seeing anything else on this before we?
This is the EdTech kind of how to use Jamboard, how to use sites or drawings. Flipgrid, you can see there's tons of things on here.
And also it gives you some great tutorials if you're not sure how to use Zoom, if you're not sure how to use Flipgrid, Screencastify. All those tutorials are great because they'll show you step by step what you need to do.
It shows, see, this is the Flipgrid one. So it will give you several videos on how to create topics, how to delete things like I showed you really quickly. If you're not sure how to respond, I think Melinda's right. For first grade, Flipgrid is where I live. I love Flipgrid. It's something that I use a lot. Flipgrid, Google Classroom, and Slides is the most useful tools, I think. I'm going to stop share.
Okay, there wasn't any questions. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, can you show how to get to the essential standards on here? Sure. People, can you mind that?
Yeah. I can do that.
They're on there. That's very important.
So you're going to go home, and then you go to grade level lessons. Then you go to the grade you want to go to. And if you want to go to kindergarten, you know, if your kids need more kindergarten work, don't be afraid to go down to kindergarten and get what you need. So this is your homepage, and the essential standards are on that first grade homepage right here at the bottom. So you just click that. And then also you have your unit plan. So if you wanted to take a look at the math and unit plan, just remember that the math, it says ELA at the top, but if you scroll down, the math is at the bottom. But I think I'm going to make a request to make math separate because it's such a difficult thing for a lot of people are like, where's the math? So maybe we can try and make 2 documents.
Yeah. It is nice though having everything in one, because then you can plan from it. I know that's why they did that, is so everybody could you know, plan from the same, like, okay, now we're doing ELA together, so let's plan now. Okay, here's our standards right here. So I either way, but some people
and when you go create your Google Classroom, you can see I have a lot of classrooms in here. This will take you to the sample that they made. And I didn't do this before, so I learned something new. They actually, on their classwork tab, no, this is not letting me go away. It's like right where I want it to be, right where my screenshot. There we go. They parsed it out by like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and they put things from phonics, they put things from math, and it's all very easy for the parents to see. So I like that they created topics, and if you need help in Google Classroom, you can go to that Edtech page and go to Google Classroom. It will show you how to create a topic. And then also it just shows what the stream would look like. My stream looked a little bit different. This was my classroom in the fall. You can see that video, that assignment that I just posted is right here. So you can see within the stream it just posted. But you can assign multiple things. Last week, I had some sad little ones that kept messaging me. So I created a Flipgrid for them and some notes where they could access, where they could click. And so this is what I would put Zoom things in the stream, but then the classwork looks, mine, I don't love the way I had it because it was just all together. So I was playing around with creating a day, because I think that's much easier to organize by day. So that was something new I learned.
I agree. My son had Google Classroom at the end of the year. They were using Google Classroom, and they had it by week. And it was, you kind of got lost after a while. He was a 4th grader. So, I mean, it was a lot of content, but daily for 1st grade, you know. Yeah,
I like that. So I'm going to definitely work on learning that.
I think anytime you can kind of break it down for 1st grade, I mean, just really focus, you know. I think anytime, and that's really what I tried to do when I created the lessons, was just focus on one thing. You know, really, and I think that's gonna, because we're gonna want to do everything. We're gonna be like, oh, but they missed so much, we have to do it all. And just remember, it's quality, not quantity, and just really think about what the focus is, what you really need to get to them that day, and then really plan for that. You know, really, what are you going to do that day? And just take it small steps, and try not to get overwhelmed, you know, by what, you know, by the planning. And hopefully by giving you that first 4 weeks, I've given you a start of a little breather of, okay, I can take kind of what Melinda was doing and work it to my own. And then that gives me that time to really hone in and get better at, you know, this whole virtual planning, and just getting better on actually teaching on Zoom or whatever you're going to use to teach from. So
there was a question in the chat about where the tutorials are.
Oh, yeah.
They're right here. If you go to 1st grade and math, and it's right here under math tutorials, lesson creation. Yeah. And for inserting sound, it's really an easy fix.
That's the last part, by the way. Part 5, if you just want that part, it's part 5.
So if you go, if you go to this site, Online Voice Recorder, it is the easiest tool to use in the world. It probably won't let me do it while I'm actually talking to you on Zoom, but you press this button and then you start reading. And once you're done, you just press, let's see if it's gonna let me talk. Okay, so I'm talking, I'm reading something aloud, it's fantastic. I'm gonna pause, and then it will show you exactly, it gives you a big header. So you just move this over. You're like, I don't want all this wait time on either side. And then you press the save button. And it's gonna save, and you can play it to listen to it. Obviously, I'm not doing that because I just wanna show you guys, but you press save.
And it will download to your device into a file somewhere.
It's right here, and then it will, I don't know why let's see if it's gonna let me talk. Okay, so I'm talking, I'm reading something aloud. Okay, so but I just uploaded it to my drive when I was done.
Yeah, and then I give a whole tutorial on how I made a folder for audio directions. So just a folder in Google Drive for audio directions. That way, every time I go to, file new, and I want that new audio file, it goes right to those audio directions. They're all there. And then I rename every one of them because you'll get lost. I had like so many. So I renamed every one of them. And then just make sure whenever you're adding anything to your Google Slides presentation, to your lessons, that you check the link, because everything that you add or embed has a link, and some of them will
the permissions.
They'll default to only Bcsd, but we have to remember that some of our littles are only going to have phones or some iPad, or who knows what they're going to have. So, of course, the hope is that we're going to get one-to-one Chromebooks, but we don't know everyone's situation and where they're going to be when they're doing their learning. So if they don't have if they're not on the Bcsd, Wi-Fi, they're not going to be able to access the content. So just keep that in mind as you're linking things, making sure the permissions say anyone with the link can view. Okay, so just keep that on. Oh, thank you. Put the link. Oh yeah, April put the link in the chat for the voice recorder. But those tutorials, that's basically what I did, is I made a five-part tutorial on how I created one day of lessons, and how I used the audio, how I embedded the videos, how I made the tasks and things like that. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful to you as well. Okay, I'm going to go back and share and just kind of close up our presentation here. Let me see if I have the right one, hopefully. Okay, so hopefully you got some activities from that Flipgrid, and you got some good ideas of using that. This is the slide I was telling you about where Alicia gives that tutorial. It's tips for using Flipgrid in a Zoom meeting. And so for teachers, when you set the expectations, show a quick video of how to use Flipgrid if need, set a digital timer to call students back, because otherwise they'll be on there forever. You can mute yourself because your computer audio will, I guess you can hear it. I guess if you're doing the Flipgrid, it'll share through Zoom. And then the teachers, the students, they're going to be listening to the teacher instructions. They're going to be muting themselves. They have to turn off their camera, like you guys did, because your camera can't do double duty. So you're going to have to explain all that to them. And then turn the camera back on when finished uploading the video to show your teacher, or, turn on the camera when the timer goes off, and signal to return to the class. So these instructions right here on this slide, Alicia's giving this little tutorial on how teachers and students can use Flipgrid. And this is an example of the 5-minute timer that she said you can set for students, so that way they come back and they're not just on Flipgrid forever. Okay, so like I said, you can go back and view that. And then this was the Edtech Center that we sent you to. This was the link. I did put this in the chat, but it's here for you as well, to see all the lessons, the Google support, the how-to documents and videos for support. And so at this time, we're kind of going to address any questions you guys have, or any comments, or anything that you thought about as we're going through the presentation. I just want to go back to our success criteria, that what we were trying to do today was navigate and deliver rich mathematical instruction that will promote mathematical learning, belief, and behaviors where students can engage in mathematics regardless of the environment or setting. And I think that we did that today. I think you guys got some really good ideas, at least to engage in the mathematics. No matter where we are, that, we really just want to make sure that whatever content we're delivering to these students, that it's promoting all those mathematical behaviors, and hopefully you got some good ideas of how you can use the tools and how you can deliver those lessons. Was there any questions in the chat, or was there anything that anyone had to offer to, a question, a comment, anything that you thought about as you were?
Allie likes it. That's good.
Allie.
She said the bar is set high. Melinda is really, really good at what she does. So yes, it doesn't have to be that pretty. It can be basic. But I'm the same way. I did the phonics and the writing, and so I played with it and tinkered, but
they're very good. I'm not gonna, April is being too modest. She's excellent job in the ELA. So like Nicole was kind of saying yesterday, think of this as the floor. This is the floor. No, I didn't go through the, McGraw-Hill math, and I didn't do daily, I didn't do that. That's just not, what really, for the essential standards that we're doing, it just wasn't possible to do that. You have to go with the floor, start there, start where you're going, start with your group, start with your PLC, figure out what you're going to deliver, and then how you're going to deliver it. And how you're going to deliver it, that's the ceiling. That's where you guys can go. You can go as high as you want to, and that's going to be up to you. And really, I just want you to think of these lessons as a guide, because everyone yesterday, they were so sweet, but they were like, well, how do you do that? And I want to do it like this. And, and it's nice, but again, you have that ability too, to be that creative, and your team members have that ability too. So use the supports that you have, gather your team together and say, well, how are we going to do this? Okay, now I will do this part and you will do it, because you might have somebody on your team like I did. Thank God for April, that is really pretty good in technology, and she knows a lot of how to navigate these things. And so, she was really supporting me, and I'm more instructionally, that was my strength, instructional, content and things like that. And that's why we kind of, we work really well together. So hopefully you have people on your teams that can support you in those areas, and you can really learn from each other and deliver that rich content, by honing in on your strengths. And that's really hopefully what, how we can get these kids to really engage in math. Any other questions or anything before I put on the eval or the sign out?
Yeah, and we talked yesterday about having a team, like having your team share and do like, well, I really like math, so I'm going to do week 1 of math, or, week 5 of math, but can you do week 5 of phonics? So that way everyone is not creating their own, but we're all coming together to kind of create for the teams, and that builds equity as well, because then every classroom is receiving the same kind of instruction within a school team.
Right. Okay, so
I will put that in the chat.
Yes. So hold on a minute. I should have not, I don't know why I did that, but and we're going to go into the eval. You have to do the eval.
Here, I'll put it in. I don't know why.
Here it is. You have to do the eval to get paid. Okay. And the next slide is the sign out sheet. The little girl here has the sign out sheet. So you have to do both. Okay. The sign out sheet is for your attendance today. The eval link is so you guys get paid, and I want everyone to get paid. I will stay on here until everyone is done finishing their eval and everyone's done with their sign out. So I will not stop the meeting until everyone's had a chance. That way you guys can.
And if you have like a question you didn't want to ask, like with everyone around, you can go ahead and we'll hang around for questions as well. The evals from our last session were so helpful and helped us to guide our presentation for today. So please make sure if you have something you thought we should have added, or I thought reading the evaluations were super helpful.
I did. I agree. And that's why I made those tutorials, just based on what everybody was wanting. And that's why I created those, so that everyone would have those. So yeah.
Are the links working for everyone?
Yeah, if you're having trouble, let us know.
It's not a blue link. Okay, I can create the blue link. You can copy and paste it, but I can create the blue. It's because I copied it at the same time.
Oh.
Because I did it all in one. Let me see if this works. Oh, where'd you go?
And as you're filling
Still
those
not
out,
working.
are they not working, April, or?
No, they're just not. I'll get it.
Okay.
I don't know why
As you
it's
guys
not
are
copying the
filling
link.
that out, I just want to thank you all for being here at 8 o'clock on a Thursday morning. I really appreciate all of your feedback, your participation in the activities, and I just hope you really take this and have some good strategies for your teams to be able to use. So thank you very much from both of us. Once you are done with the eval and the sign out sheet, you can leave the meeting, and as people leave, we'll know that you guys are done.
I don't know why this doesn't want to link. You just copy and paste it in there and it should be fine. You can't copy and paste. Okay, let me work. Let's see why.
That's weird, we didn't have this problem yesterday.
I was gonna say we didn't have that problem yesterday. You should be able to copy and paste it. I'm gonna work on it.
I wonder if I could take it from the.
I was taking it from. Okay, this is the eval. Let's see if it works for us today. It does not want to turn blue for me. Sorry, Lucy. I did set it to you privately because I was trying to get it to. Okay. How do I move it? Every time
I'm like, oh, I do know somebody in here. Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Maria. Yeah. For the CFA, I thought about doing like a Google form, you know, as far as like at the end of the lessons and things, but.
Okay, that's the eval. Sorry. That's the eval. I'm going to do the attendance.
Yay.
I'm going to do the attendance one next. I don't know why it's being so fussy.
Thank you, April. Yeah, as far as the CFA, I think maybe, you know, for first graders, it depends on how engaging and interactive the Google form is, if they're just able to click, you know, and, you know, because I think short answer on a Google form is hard for a first grader, but at the same time, it's like you don't want them just clicking because that really doesn't show you what they know. So it's hard. You know, Google Forms can be made up though to be lots of different things. You can do you can do images with them and, you know, things like that.
Attendance. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. So
yeah, I think the CFAs are hard.
I've used Google Form, April, with your first graders.
No, with I just did a lot of the Google Docs, and I'd have them submit through Google Docs in the classroom, or I would also have them just show me their whiteboard. I think CFAs are going to be really hard. I mean, they might have a sibling helping, they might have a parent helping. So CFAs are going to be kind of hard, because even if you have a parent behind you helping you with Google Forms or an older sibling, they can still kind of, you know, not be authentic. But I think those are good. I think forms would be a great way to do it. I need to learn a little bit more about forms.
Yeah, I'm not the best in forms, but I do know you could make it how you want. I mean, you can add images onto forms and make it really creative and fun.
Yeah, and you can also have them do constructed response. You can have them do ABCD. There is a lot of options for that. And I bet you on the webpage there is a forms tutorial if you're unsure.
I'm pretty sure there is. So that would be awesome too.
Any other questions? You can also unmute yourself. You don't have to type in the chat. Or you can leave when you're done.
Okay. You can leave when you're done if you have no questions and you're done with both. Just make sure, please, to sign out on the attendance too and the eval. Hopefully they got all the sign out.
I don't know why it was being so fussy today.
I don't know.
It was working yesterday.
That's the thing about it. You know, you're going to have certain issues where, like yesterday, we had problems with the Jamboard. Today, no problems. It's just, you know, the way it is.
I have a question, or I guess it's more of a just logistics. I'm at College Heights, and I struggled with getting those little ones to log in. And since I'm in a supportive role, I would invite the entire grade level. And even with the entire grade level, I would get less than 20 kids. With the expectation to have the synchronous learning, and with the Zoom now where we can co-host, just an idea to co-host the virtual learning. And if a teacher's not available, they always have a teacher on hand. Or when they go into the breakout rooms, they always have an adult. Because the thought of like sending off first graders by themselves, it's like, what?
Scary. Yeah.
That's why I said that earlier. I was saying the same thing. I'm like, I would not put first graders in a breakout room by themselves. They have to be with an adult, especially, I mean, probably through the whole year, but I mean, even at the end of the year, I might not do it. I mean, depends on your kids, of course, but yeah, I mean, and I think the logistics of it, like you said, getting together with your team, and that's where, you can kind of think about how are we going to tag team this, and this year, I'm hoping that it's not going to be the same situation where we have, 5 kids that show up. I really hope that, the logistics of this are going to be better, because the kids are going to have one-to-one Chromebooks, and, the district is working on, the plans for those logistics. And I'm hoping that that's going to be better. But it's a great idea to get together with a team member and work with them and say, okay, I'm going to deliver this instruction to the kids. So while I'm doing this, could you co-host and work with these students here? I think that's a great idea. I mean, that's how creatively you can work with each other and really, like I said, April's great at this back of the chat stuff and doing all the technology, whereas I'm more content. So it works for her to be doing the co-hosting while I'm more doing the presenting. So, really it leads to whatever you can do. As far as the breakout rooms, I'm an intervention specialist. I'm support staff as well. So my whole thing is, how am I going to do intervention with these kiddos? And so my thought is, I'll pop into one of the teachers' Zoom sessions and go into a breakout room, pull the kids, like I would pull them in a classroom, but pull them out into a breakout room and do intervention with them, so they're not alone in a room. And so that's just kind of what we might have to do if hopefully, I don't know how the aides would fit into this, but hopefully if we have any kind of aides, they can be a support for us. I have no idea. I have no clue how they can fit in, but that would be helpful, that kind of thing. So it's really, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think we're going to need all hands on deck, or, any something where we can get those kids.
I never thought about the aides until right now. So it's like just the thought about sending a teacher to a breakout room just happened right now, but we lost our 3-hour aides. I'm an instructional specialist, so we don't have them, but all of the special ed instructional aides,
that's a great site specific thing that you could bring up to your principal and be like, hey, we were thinking about that, and we figured out, hey, this is a great idea, can we do that?
Because a lot of learning needs to take place with the teachers getting comfortable with Zoom and co-hosting and doing all the things that you tag team together. So I'm excited with the possibilities.
Yeah.
Instead of sending them off on their own, it's like, all right, good luck, figure it out.
I completely agree with you. I think it's a great idea.
I had a question about Zoom.
Yes.
When you have those Zoom links, obviously you're going to want to create maybe like a password or something. Would that be something that, because I know that through planning ahead, Monday through Friday, or, whatever, I'm going to have all these Zoom lessons that I'm going to need to do. Would you recommend posting those in your Google Classroom? The information's out there, but it's a little bit more controlled. So would you post just one, if I know that for this week, these are all the Zoom lessons, would they be the same log information and post it? I loved how you guys said day 1, day 2, day 3, whatever. So then I would put day 1 Zoom lesson.
Exactly. And you can do a reoccurring meeting too. So that way, say your morning check-in can be a reoccurring meeting every day at 8 a.m. So that morning check-in goes under every day at 8 a.m. Then we're going to have an ELA Phonics word building session every day at 9:15. And you can create those within Zoom, so that way you're not having to make those invitations every day or they can last for months. So if you create a reoccurring meeting and then list it under the days, parents will get used to it. And I think the easier it is for them, like I changed the passwords all to say room 10 flyers. So that way it wasn't